when we talk about the education related CSR activity, it begins with giving primary education, providing primary education, providing secondary education, providing the college related education, and then making sure that there is employment opportunity for the child.
Hi everyone, today we have with us Ms. Mehta from SCI Limited. Ms. Mehta is currently working with Honda Cars India Limited as Deputy General Manager and Head CSR. She has spearheaded several CSR projects in the areas of education, road safety, environment and health, and has been instrumental in uplifting the lives of people in the society. Ms. Mehta has worked extensively with not-for-profit organizations and donors on strategy design, immaculate execution of projects, and purposeful impact assessments. She develops and designs strategies and programs to make positive contribution in the community. She also has more than 25 years of work experience across human resources, industrial relations, administration, safety, security, legal compliances, and CSR. She has worked in several corporate leadership positions in automotive as well as FMCG sector. It's lovely to have you here, Ms. Mehta. It's a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you, Isha, for that opportunity. So I hope the session we have today benefits many people. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. All right, ma'am. So to begin with, I would like to start with a very first question for today. So how does the initiative to ensure inclusive and equitable education by promoting the lifelong learning opportunities look like? Could you shed some light on that?
So Isha, as as a corporate, what we have seen is in the education space in India, there is a lot of opportunity, and that was the reason why we have started working. And my personal experience of having worked in the education area is that the schools that are there, especially the government schools, they are wanting in a very big way, and I think if we can possibly contribute to the education area in India, I think we'll be contributing the most, because if we look at the education, how it uplifts people is possibly it's the base for everything, right? So once we are educating a child, we are educating the entire family and possibly making their lives better, right? So with that particular aspect, if we were to look at government schools versus private schools, so since we see our children also studying in private schools, and when you compare the government schools, so they're wanting in a very big way. Some the teachers might be good, but then they need that kind of an infrastructure, that kind of a push in terms of education. So when we talk about equitable education, I think we need to bring the private and the government schools at the same plane, and that's the reason why we work very exhaustively in this sector. Yeah.
All right, ma'am. I think you have rightly pointed out that how there's a vast difference that we can see across like government and private school and the quality of education as well. So that's something that we should notice and work towards. So as a follow-up question, I would also like to ask, like recently you have introduced digital and tech-enabled learning along with the conventional mode of teaching that happens. So what was the inspiration behind this to take this integrated model and to improve the learning outcomes of the children?
Right. In fact, when COVID struck, so we were at our wits' end as to how do we teach the government school students, right? And the first thing that we did was, first find out as to how many of them have smartphones, how many of them have computers, some basic level computers. And we, after having done a survey, saw that approximately around 54% of them have smartphones. Then we redesigned the entire program that we had, right? So where the program was such that on a in-person basis, on a physical basis. We were doing academics. We were supporting them with extracurricular activities. We were supporting them in sports. You were pushing value education, right? Because values, till the time we instill good values, my personal understanding is that it is very hard to explain or teach them other things, because values are the base on which academics also works. So we used to do all this in person. We were actually supporting the schools, and then due to COVID, everything sort of halted. So we after having understood as to what are the options available, there were three options that we took, and this we called as the blended mode. Now, in that blended mode, what we did was we have digital education. And when we say digital education, what we started doing was we first taught our children and the teachers how to use all these digital platforms like Zoom, like MS Teams, etc. WhatsApp for that matter, and emails also, because they were just not aware as to how to use them, right? So first we taught them how to use all these, and then we started running our school curriculum through all these means. And we got a very big opportunity to work on the teachers because the schools were closed and it was a blended mode. What we did was we also started distributing worksheets at their homes, and we used to drop them in the morning and we used to correct them in the evening, and we used to make sure that they study, right? And we also started something like, when the lockdown finished, we started something like the cluster class. Now, a cluster class was all the students of a particular village, in a particular class. We could teach them together by maintaining social distancing. So this was what we did as far as students are concerned, and we've been able to sustain. And you'll be surprised that in the last year, when COVID struck, from 53-54% today, through the blended teaching mode, we have already reached 78% of our children, and we're planning to reach 100% of our children through various modes. And yes, the opportunity that I talked about, so we had a huge opportunity in terms of building the capability of teachers. So first we taught them all the tools, like how to use an email or a WhatsApp or a Zoom, etc. And then we started doing expert teaching classes for our teachers, so that the teachers also become very, very clear about the subjects that they are teaching. So that's how we have done it.
I think it was amazing to hear about the initiative and the work that you have done. So to move further, I would also like to ask that there are a lot of students in the, especially in the remote pocket of our countries, who do not have access to digital devices, or they do struggle with poor internet connectivities and all. So since you have done a lot of work in that area, what were some of the challenges that you faced while implementing this entire blended model of learning?
So the first challenge that we faced was that of the students not having the smartphones, right? So what we have done is, how we overcame that challenge was, one, our volunteers went into the villages and they told their children to actually come together. Suppose some children, they are in the same class and they can study together. So one smartphone, but three of them learning together, right? Yeah, and maintaining all the social distancing, etc. Right? And the second thing that we did was, what we enabled WhatsApp-based education. So when I say WhatsApp-based education, WhatsApp doesn't naturally always need an internet. Suppose you send it, and then whensoever the parent is back home, because sometimes when the parent has taken the phone, the child does not get that leverage to study. So in the evening, we would send them all the material on WhatsApp, and whensoever the child had time, say for example, if he or she could do it in the evening or in the night, they would complete their studies in the evening and the night, and in the morning give their phones to their parents, and the parents would take them back while they were working, right? And as I said, the cluster classes also helped. So by maintaining social distancing, we ensure that we do physical classes also, because we remain connected with our students. So these various techniques, they helped us. So in spite of poor connectivity, yes, you are right, we were able to sustain. Of course, once what we also do is we do a lot of reward and recognition exercises with our students. So as a reward and recognition, this time the gift was enabling them with a good internet connection, or paying them for their internet connectivity. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, ma'am. And I think that is one of the best gifts that we all should focus now, because the entire education landscape has changed drastically. And the children are the worst hit, I would say, in that. So the work that you have done is commendable. It's nice. Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. All right, so zooming out a little, I would like to move forward with could you also elaborate on the integrated model of providing quality education and also the employment avenues to the students that not only makes them economically empowered, but it also reflects the commitment of the organization towards your development?
So I personally feel, that the education piece begins with the primary education and actually ends at employment, right? So when we talk about the education related CSR activity, it begins with giving primary education, providing primary education, providing secondary education, providing the college related education, and then making sure that there is employment opportunity for the child, right? How this entire thing, all the various facets can be connected to each other, are that, see, we are India is in a state where it is developing and developing very fast, right? And we have these children, quite a few of them are not from, they're from the marginalized community. Their parents are basically either farmers or small time, they're doing some menial jobs here and there, right? So they really don't have that kind of neither do they have that money, nor do they have that kind of an incentive to push their children, right? The children are just there, right? So what we essentially think should be done, and what we have already done as far as our initiatives are concerned, is we have got the parents together, and we have told them that what we are trying to do is actually going to make sure that your child possibly doesn't do what you have been doing for a living, right? So we wish that your child is better employed, earns better money, and is able to support the family later in a much better way as compared to what you were able to do. So from that particular perspective, when you talk to them, when you tell them that this is what you have in mind, you get that kind of interest which is there from their side, right? So the parents are then fully supporting. Now today we have so many of these parents who, after understanding as to what we were trying to do, they actually went and bought smartphones for their children so that the children can study, right? Their children need not, some asked us and they requested us whether we can possibly provide laptops and things like that. So second-hand laptops we arranged for them. They bought it. See, we did not gift anything, right? They bought, right, for their children. And today, as I said, we are able to reach 78% of our children, and they're happy, with the studies which are happening. In spite of the fact that the schools are more or less, for the past, I think, 1.5 years, the schools are just not open.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, ma'am, it's truly amazing to see that you have tapping on all the parts of the system to make a sustainable change, rather than just giving the education and leaving the children right there. So you are tapping on all the levels across the system, be it the parents or the children or the children themselves. So it would result in a much better outcome for all of us. So it's really amazing to see that kind of work that you are doing. All right, ma'am. So I think moving forward, our learners would also be keen to know about how are you leveraging the partnerships to improve the employability and renovate government schools infrastructure. Could you shed some light on that?
I'll give you an example of one of the recent schools that we made. It is a girls' government school. First, what we did was we went and we did a need analysis. We tried to find out as to where is the need the most, right? So we did this in the state of Rajasthan, and um, having seen at least 5 to 6 schools, I realized that there was only one particular government girls' school, and there was no government girls' school in the close vicinity of approximately around 25 kilometers radius, right? So that made me think that this is possibly one project that we can take up. And as Honda, we took up this project. And when I went and saw the place where the school was running, it was basically running out of a very small shanty, and I was surprised as to how they were, teaching 600 girls from that particular, small little shed, right? So what I realized was we will need to, if we need to make the infrastructure for this particular school, we can't do it in this particular place where it existingly was. So what we did was we asked the villagers in case they, any of the villagers wants to donate some land. So if some land we are able to get, then we would get it regularized by the government, and then we will make a school, right? So Honda would take up to making of the school. So then, we were able to get a piece of land. One of the villagers, he donated a big piece of land and he said it's for a noble purpose, so I would like to do it. So then we got it regularized by the government, and after having done that, then we constructed the school. And in this particular school, when we made this particular school, so we enabled it with everything, right? Digital education, smart STEM classes run, Bala is done all over the school building, etc., right? And then we adopted this school, right? So we have adopted this school for the past 2 years, and now we are doing skill building of teachers and students. And as I said earlier, so all digital education and all kinds of various initiatives which any private school is running, that is happening in that particular school. In addition to the adoption that we did, I would like to give you an example on how we licensed with the government. We started talking to the education directorate directly, Rajasthan, and since we started talking to them, since it was Honda which was talking to them, so we got a lot of importance and priority, which the government school, possibly the principal or the CBO, government officers, if they wish to, push some initiatives into the school and they want some help from the government, possibly it takes a lot of time. But then because we were there, we licensed with the government officials, and we were able to convince them to bring the science stream into this particular school. There was no science stream for 11th and 12th, and you'll be happy to know that a science stream, which normally takes the government schools, it takes 10 years to get after they put their request. So we got it within 6 months. So that's how the licensing with the government, licensing with parents, making sure that you have a connect with the students and the principal and the teachers. So that's how you work. What I've understood it, you have to work in a very multifaceted manner in order to drive the initiative properly. Just working in the school actually doesn't help.
Yes, ma'am. So actually, I have rightly put it down that we have to cater to all the integrated elements for any of the interventions, especially to scale the impact. Otherwise, we would not be able to reach till the last mile of the society. So that's amazing to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it brings me to the last question for today. The project's limited to the current geography, or are you planning to scale it further to other states as well?
So currently, we are doing it in Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. But yes, we have plans to bring them to other states as well. So depending on the availability of CSR funds, I plan to take it in a very big manner to other states as well.
All right, ma'am. So I think that brings our interview to a close. And it was wonderful to have you here today. And I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.